We're back at Santa Pod at the start of July for the traditional funny car race, the Cannonball. Let's have a sneak preview of some of the action coming your way. Well, what is the Cannonball all about? It's racing for funny cars. These carbon fibre replicas of road-going machines race one another 3 times along the track. They look to run the quickest 3/4 of a mile. The teams are made up of top fuel cars and alcohol cars, and the idea is they all try and run to look for those 2 final places where you get the quickest over the first 3/4, running heads up against the opposing team. Now this year, as always, cars come from all over Europe. There are a couple of favourites here, one of these being Gary Page, and this man, an outsider, a rookie driver from Holland, Let's June. In our first round, we lose 2 of our cars straight away. This is Clive Michelle and the hot rod from hell, the California kid. He runs a 755, but we don't see him anymore. And Dal Denton, over from America for his first ride in the Cannonball, destroys his elite car engine on the start line. We just don't see Dal Denton no more. But these are the 2 favourites. Previous funny car winners here at the Cannonball. John Spuffard from the UK in the Showtime Pontiac Trans Am, and Gary Page, now firmly back in funny car racing after quite a sabbatical with the Motorola Mustang. Great things are expected of these top fuel cars, but they don't always have the consistency. But this is their first run. And side by side, we get a stunning pair of runs, the quickest we've ever seen here at Santa Pod from funny cars. 5.76 for Gary Page and 5.57 for John Spuffard. Well, if this is the shape of things to come, everybody else in the class had better look out. So we move straight on to round 2 for the top fuel cars. Once again, Spuffard and Page. Are they going to be 5-second runs again? Certainly Page records a 5.68, but Spuffard goes up in smoke. That's every top fuel car driver's worst nightmare, overpowering the track.
We had a problem with the first round with the fuel pump shutting down on us. So we cured that problem. The second round, we just overpowered the racetrack.
And that was it, basically. So it really was a tyres lighting up procedure, was it?
Yeah, the car got up on the tyres, started to get out of the groove. I ended up having to pedal it to get it back under control again. So we lost a bit of time there.
So what's your crew chief doing now, then?
He's trimmed it down a little bit. We're just trying to calm it down a little bit.
And how's he doing that?
Well, he's taken a little bit out. The percentage-wise
of the nitro
percentage. He'll take some of that away. He'll put some pill changes in the fuel system, bleed a little bit more away, and hopefully we can do this now.
An alcohol car in with a chance for the final is Great Britain's Alan Jackson.
We're in 3rd spot, and
we were looking at you maybe as the spoiler with the top fuel cars. You're just maybe 0.6 of a second off on aggregate from the second place top fuel car. Is there a little bit more in here?
Yes, we think so, yes. As we damaged the supercharger this morning and we had to borrow one off Barry Sheevels. So that was the first pass with that supercharger on, and we've learnt a bit. So maybe we can get it a bit better straightened out for the next run.
So not with your own equipment, you're on a borrowed supercharger, so presumably you're on a bit of a learning curve now then, are you?
Yes, that's right. The fuels, no two blowers are the same, and you've got to learn with them. So we've learned a few things on that pass, so we think we can get it better straightened out for the next run.
Well, Al Jackson does have a chance. He's only 0.6 of a second away from second place man John Spuffard with the top fuel car. Gary Page is leading the charge in this year's Cannonball with a total of 11.44. Here we find Alan Jackson up against Swiss driver Urs Embacher in the Hawaiian car. And what Jackson really needs to do here is to run another low 6-second pass. His last time out was a 6:30. Embacher goes all over the track and Jackson rolls through, but that is not good enough. 7.44. That won't bring him in contention for that final. Let's just watch Embacher. Embacher goes right towards that Argo. Is he leaving some paint there? Jackson takes the win. If they were racing, they're just looking for times, but that time just was not good enough. The two funny cars, top fuel versions thereof, come out to do battle once more. Now then, these two are currently leading, and they've absolutely astounded everybody by their consistency in the 1996 Cannonball. If this is another pair of 5-second runs, these two will be in the final. And it's Page across the finish line first. And yes, again, it's fives. 5 for Gary, 5 for John Spuffard. These two have got to be the finalists. Just look at the power here. Both of them doing a little bit of a dance out there on the track. But now they've settled down in the groove. And with that pair of runs, they record the quickest times after 3 rounds. 17.91 for John Spuffard and 17.08 for Gary Page. Kenny McCormack runs through in the Nissan car, and his run not good enough to get him into the final. 7.57 on that run. Now then, Alan Jackson was the man we thought might get into the final if one of the two funnies failed, but now it's Lex June. The Valvoline car cracks off an amazing 6.29 against Detso Krevan from Switzerland in the mobile block of cheese. And suddenly it's Lex June who's run the third quickest time. And news from the pits is that John Spuffard suffered a clutch fire on that last run and won't make the final. So it's the classic confrontation. Top fuel funny car against top alcohol funny car. And talking of top alcohols, this is round number 2 of the RAC MSA UK Top Alcohol Championship. This is how it looks after qualifying. Barry Sheevels was our number 1 qualifier, and he has a bye run through into the semi-finals. Our number 2 qualifier was Rob Turner, number 3 qualifier Peter Beck, and number 4 qualifier Tony Baker. Sheevels away on his own then. He recorded a 6.21 during qualifying, which was the quickest of the pack, and runs quicker still, 6.18, 222 miles per hour. Well, currently in the 1996 championship, Barry Sheevels, who is a 2-times winner, is sitting in second spot behind the Swiss driver Peter Beck. We'll see him in a minute. Meanwhile, 2 British guys going side by side in the funny car. Tony Baker, having just moved up from Ford Pops into top alcohol, does away with Mick Gledo with a run of 6.90 to 7.27. And this has been the first time that Tony Baker this season has run down into the 6s, and just look at him hooking up those front wheels away from the start line. He goes past Mick Gledo like a steam train. Well, second place qualifier was this man, Rob Turner, who recorded a 6.40. For this particular event, they've got a brand new engine imported from America, which has run down into the 5s. and he's up against the over-the-hill mob. This is Mickey Moore, and immediately Mickey Moore in the alcohol-burning altered. His sideline, he's got fuel leaking from the machine, so it's Turner on his own. Well, I think Rob Turner would have preferred to have had a pacemaker there in the opposing lane, but he recorded 6:40 during qualifying. What is he going to do on this solo run? Well, they've had tons of problems in the past with this machine with tyre shake, but there was no problems there at all. 6.30, 218 miles an hour. That is a great run for Rob Turner and puts him into the semi-finals. This is the man currently leading the championship, Peter Beck from Switzerland. Yep, we have a Swiss driver in the British Championship. That's the EEC for you, folks. He's up against Andy Hill from Buxton in Derbyshire in a car which now is a little bit outdated up against the real state-of-the-art alcohol cars. Beck cracks off a 7.18, takes a good win there over Andy Hill, but Andy Hill records a career best of 7.66. He certainly wasn't out of the chase and didn't want to give up. But you can see the dramatic difference between these two cars. Andy Hill's car, by the way, used to be driven by Barry Sheevels. So, in the semi-finals then, we're going to be seeing Peter Beck against Rob Turner and Barry Sheevels against Tony Baker. We'll be back shortly. And the crowd here at the Cannonball enjoys some exciting racing. Where were the door slammers? 6 seconds, 200 miles per hour, the Pro Modifieds. And as usual, Alan Packman, the man currently leading the championship, is the #1 qualifier, having run straight away into the sixes. 6.95, and he's on a bye run in the first round. Well, the familiar figure of Ray Simpson guiding back Andy Robinson in the Rover, he's going to be running against this man, Bert Englefield, with his Toyota Supra. So it's Rover 800 Coupe against a Toyota Supra. No, they're not ordinary cars. These run with engines between 10,000 cc's and 11,500 cc's. These are mega. And this is going to be so close. These were our numbers 4 and 5 qualifiers with something like 0.07 of a second between them. And they're up and running. It's Bert Englefield out in front with the Supra. And he's running so well this weekend. 7.06. He just gets quicker and quicker. Look at those terminal speeds in the 190 miles per hour bracket. And you can see the wheels coming up on these two cars. Bert having to fight it. They're changing gear. They've got a different lever for every gear on these cars. They have to steer with the left hand and change gear with the right. At 190 miles per hour, that is not easy. This is Gordon Appleton, 1967 Camaro. And he's running against the Chevrolet Lumina of this man, Neil Taylor, the A1 Fabrications man who builds the car himself and then races it. Gordon Appleton was our #3 qualifier, Neil Taylor our #6, and it is Appleton who's away first. A reaction time of 0.57 to Neil Taylor's 0.74 gets him the win, a 7.09 to a 7.17, and again, both of these cars running in that 190 miles per hour bracket. These are just stunning machines, and they look as though you can just drive them out onto the road. Well, here's our next pair. And again, it's an all General Motors affair. Michael Geely with his Vauxhall Calibra, the smallest engine car in the class, up against Nick Davis with his Oldsmobile Cutlass. And it is Davis who gets away first. Geely has all sorts of problems away from the start line, and Nick Davis is having a great weekend. He was our #2 qualifier, having run a 7.16, and takes the win over Michael Geely, who goes every which way but straight at 7.26, 185 miles per hour. So the semi-finals look like this. Alan Packman on his bye run now comes up against Bert Englefield, and Nick Davis races Gordon Appleton. And we'll go straight to the first of those semi-finals. Big smoky burnouts. The crowd love these. It's not just for show. They are warming up those huge rear slicks on those cars. They run alcohol funny car tyres at the back of these cars. and it's Bert Englefield up against the current champion. Englefield takes the win. My goodness me, Englefield for the first time into the sixes, 6.96, and he shuts down the current championship leader. Well, that is a turn up for the books, and I can imagine Bert Englefield whooping for joy. He's such a quiet man. He'll be absolutely ecstatic with that win. Puts away the champ, takes the win in the sixes. So who's he going to race in the final? Once again, classic confrontation, GM against GM. The Camaro against the Oldsmobile Cutlass. This is Nick Davis. Nick Davis has made his way up from Supergas Racing, where he used to drive a beautiful 37 Ford Coupe, now into this Oldsmobile Cutlass. And this weekend he's really got a handle on it, but there's a problem. Gordon has a problem. He's being pushed back. So it's going to be Nick Davis on his own into the final to meet Bert Englefield. Well, what sort of a run is Nick Davis going to do? Is he going to just sit there and coast up? There's the nitrous oxide injection, which boosts the horsepower of these machines up to 2,000. But no, Nick Davis is using it as a full power practice run, cracks off 7.14, 193 miles per hour. So it's the final of Pro Modified. And it's interesting that the champion, the current championship leader, is out. That's Al Packman. Gordon Appleton, second place in the championship, is out. Andy Robinson, third place, is out. It's Nick Davis against Bert Englefield. So both of these guys could really do with the points here in the championship. This will bring about a nice change at the top. And Nick Davis, his first time into the finals, as it is for the man in the opposing lane, Bert Englefield, and Nick Davis jumps the lights. Automatically, Nick Davis is out. Bert Englefield takes the win and cruises through 7.70 at 164 miles an hour. You can see it so clearly there before the green had come on. Nick Davis jumped across the start line beach. He's out of contention, and Bert Englefield takes the win. Okay, let's refresh ourselves. What happened in the quarterfinals? Barry Sheevel's got through on a bye run. He meets Tony Baker with the Ford Probe. And Rob Turner meets Peter Beck from Switzerland, and that's an all-dragster affair. So Tony Baker burning out heavily up against this man. Barry Sheevel's looking for points here in the championship. He's behind Peter Beck already in this year's championship. And makes no mistake, Barry Sheevel's takes the win, 6.29 to Tony Baker's 6.94. Baker, though, having a great weekend. First time for him in the sixes. Now then, who's going to be in the final against Barry Sheevel's? Great Britain again or Switzerland? Peter Beck is a man who really is on top form in 1996 with this dragster. Can he do away with Great Britain's Rob Turner? But he's got problems away from the start line. And it's Rob Turner. Just watch those rear tyres grow. He records a 6.39, 216 miles per hour. That puts him in the final against fellow countryman, the Winds dragster driver, Barry Sheevel's. So Barry gets taken right up to the start line by his crew chief. This is going to be very, very close. The visor goes down. No naked eyes here in drag racing, and they're away together. Barry Sheevel's away first. Looks as though he's got him up, but then there's a problem. That's the burst plate on the supercharger. Let's go. Rob Turner drives by, takes maximum points from that round, 6.32, 218 miles an hour. Let's just watch all this happen. They're away from the start line. Sheevel's clearly away first. Those rear tyres starting to grow. Turner in chase mode. The engine lets go on Sheevel's car. It's a win for Rob Turner. Well done. Now it's the final of the Cannonball.
It's spinning the tyres a little bit mid-track. It seems to take everything we can, like, you know, give it on the bottom of the track, but mid-track, I mean, as John did on the last run, I think they got a bit aggressive and like smoked the tyres mid-track. So we're just sort of, you know, really just creeping up on it because you can't. The track's, it's probably quite warm now because it, you know, it has been quite hot today, so you don't really want to go out there and, you know, do anything silly. We're just leaving everything as it is.
Well, the last time that man won the Cannonball, would you believe, was 1983, and that was in a Top Fuel funny car. But he's against this man, Lex June, who was a rookie in 1995, and suddenly finds himself against his hero, the Motorola Mustang man, Gary Page. Alcohol car against Top Fuel funny car. The last time an alcohol car won this event was 1990 in the hands of Sweden's Michael Kagerad. Can it possibly happen all over again? Certainly Gary Page has been so consistent here this weekend. The Motorola team really deserve to win. They've been in the 5s. Lex June has been in the low 6s. They're away together. But Lex June takes the win. There's a problem for Gary Page. It's Lex June who cruises through at the top end, 7.00, 141 miles per hour. Problems all the way for Gary Page, and absolute delight for the Valvoline Dutch Spirit team of Lex June. Well, even the Motorola men have to applaud a winning run there from this comparative rookie. Let's just watch this again. Away from the start line, it looks as though Gary Page has got problems straight away. All neat fuel coming out of the headers. He realises he's got a problem, lets the parachute go, and the Valvoline car just goes through and takes a really, really comfortable win. And is this man happy? Is this man happy? That smile just can't get any bigger. The first man to go up and say well done, Gary Page from Great Britain. So Lex June joins this fabled league of names who have won the Cannonball, which started for the first time in 1981. A complete outsider takes the win.
I think it's amazing. It's always have been for me the race of the year, because funny cars was always the thing to look at, and always when I came here was the Cannonball was the main event for me to look at. So to win it, it's the dreams, all the dreams come true then.
It promised so much, didn't it?
Yeah, but as we said, you know, nothing's over until the win light comes on. So it's just every run, you know, we've been chasing problems and just caught up with us in the final.
What happened in the final, Gary?
The car just didn't want to go anywhere. Just didn't want to run. It wasn't moving. I mean, Lex got out in front of me, then the car left, and Lex was pulling away, and like, that shouldn't happen. So I just shut the car off.
It would have been lovely for you, wouldn't it, to have taken the win here, 13 years after the last time you took a trophy away from the Cannonball.
Well, we'll make it 14 next year.